bring in big names, big players, big legends who are maybe after 30, so in the final part of their career. That's really important because you have the big name, you have the big opportunity to have, it's not just the name, it's also the big professional to show to the young kids, the local kids, the future players, the example, the role model of these players who can, of course, score goals on Sunday, but also train very hard and with a different mentality on daily basis. And so, okay, the big name is important, but it's really important to bring in young players as well. I think that's a really important part of the process. They are trying to do this here in Qatar, in Saudi. You can see that now it's not only the big names. Maybe it started with big names because it's the way to open, to have the access to the global audience, but then you have to bring young players as well. You have to create excitement around the young players as well, and that's the direction. They're doing that. So I think on this, they are really on the right way. And then there is the communication. For me, as a journalist, this second point is really important. You can bring as many players as you want, but it's really important also, I always say that, to send the message, especially to European audience and global audience, so not just from Middle East where you're based, but also outside, that okay, all these big players are moving to your country, but they're actually playing games on Wednesday, on Saturday, on Sunday, so promote the event with the players who are going to be on stage. It's not just that the players are moving to the country. It's really important to make people feel that this Sunday there is not only maybe Manchester United, Manchester City, Inter Juventus, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, but there is always maybe a Qatari club playing against each other, or maybe Saudi clubs playing against each other with the big names, with the big face. This is the way to educate also the global audience. And for me, this point is really, really crucial to do more and more and more on this.
Great. Building the Fabrizio brand. You have turned being a football journalist into a huge personal brand in a way that we have not seen before in the history of journalism. Was that the result of a clear long-term plan, or did it evolve more naturally on the go? Did you expect to see yourself where you are today?
No, not at all. Was not a plan. I can tell you that was not a strategy, was not a plan. Maybe now, in this moment of my career, strategy and planning are really important because now I start thinking, okay, what I want to do next, what's the idea, what's the connection that I have to activate. But when I started building my brand, I was not even planning to have a brand, to be honest. Even the famous Here We Go was not something planned. It was something that came out of nowhere, just on social media. So I didn't have a plan. My plan was to work in journalism, so it was a very basic plan. I wanted to work in journalism, I wanted to work in football. I was lucky enough to understand when I was 18, 19, so very early, that sports journalism can be very big, no? You can comment games, you can write on newspapers, you can be on TV, on radio, but I understood immediately that my way was in transfers because I felt this adrenaline from the beginning, and transfers means that your private life is going to be killed, but I still loved what I was doing, and so my passion for that was too big to say no. But then the strategy was not about the brand. The strategy was keep going, try to improve, get more people in your network, try to learn as many languages as possible. So that's what I tried to do. But I didn't have any idea of where I wanted to be. Probably my dream when I was 18, 19 was just to get into a traditional media, as I did with Sky in Italy, and try to get at the best level possible there. Then when you start speaking the languages and trying to understand that if you do well your job, it can work not just in your country, but also global, that's what opened the doors, and then social media was, again, a big point to help my brand going global.
Great. Managing information and sources. In a world full of misinformation and fake news, how do you filter what's true and decide when to say, here we go?
Yeah, that's a really important point because I feel that also now and in the near past, there is kind of obsession in the world of football, in the world of journalism, to be first. Many people just think that they can open a social media account and try to be first on something, and then when you are just running, something is going to be wrong at some point. You don't have to run. You have to run, but also to use your brain. And use your brain in the football industry and in the journalism industry means that you have to check every single piece of news. So for me, it's important to be first because you need to have that desire. You need to have that fire in your eyes when you want to get the news. But at the same time, the most important part is accuracy. If you want to go and be credible for the global audience, it's really important to be accurate. It means to put a lot of your time into it. It means to call people, text people, message people every single day, no matter the time, no matter the hour, go for it. Because it's really important to be 100% sure of what you're checking. So for me to say, here we go, means making sure to tell people that in that moment, the verbal agreement is done. Then to sign contracts is not me signing, it's the players and the club signing, so I can't control that. If sometimes deals can collapse even after the medical test, it happened many times. But for me as a journalist, what's important is to go to sleep at night and think. I say to people and I brought to people the correct information and I didn't lie on anything. When I say that, it was real, it was true. So that's the most important mission for me.
Amazing. Do you ever feel that agents or clubs try to use your credibility to push their agendas? How do you protect yourself from that?
Look, at the beginning, yes. When I was younger, many people involved in the industry, could be clubs, could be agents, could be intermediaries. Many people try to push, not just with me, I think with all the football journalists, to have their own version of the facts. So it can be their own version of a transfer, their own version of a player who wants to leave or wants to stay. So it's normal to try push journalists. Now it's no longer like this for me. Maybe because now they respect what I do. They know I've been in the industry for 15 years. So maybe they don't try to put pressure and they just accept that I decide what I want to say and what I want to do. But when I was younger, I mean, maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, many times they were trying to press me to publish something. In those cases, I always say it's really important to make sure you make people feel that you have total control of the situation. So if you have sources everywhere, at the end, this can't happen because they can try to push, but if you have another side of the truth and you control different sources, at the end, you're always going to win if you are respectful, if you are honest, and if you are not going to create any problem to clubs, which is always for me also really important to keep this balance and not to create any problem to those who are actually working on the deal.
Monetizing credibility. You're trusted by millions, but trust doesn't automatically translate into income. How do you balance journalism and business while keeping your integrity intact?
Look, there are many ways on this and many things to mention. I think the most important one on this is that integrity remains crucial, so you don't have to be never, ever directly involved into anything that regards the transfers. So you can't be part or people paying to promote a player or clubs paying to promote a player or to promote a transfer. You can't be part of that because for me, it's the first rule always. It happened many times when I was younger. Again, now they would not do it because they know I'm never going to do it. I always repeat in public and in private. But when I was younger, they were trying maybe to offer money to promote my player, to say this, to say that. Football world is very big, it's global, but it's also very small. Every people know each other. So if you go wrong once, people will know about that. They speak between each other and the reputation can change in 5 seconds. So if you start selling yourself and selling your information, it's the beginning of the end. So I'm never going to do that. And also the other side is that you can imagine with many followers, maybe many times I was offered the possibility maybe to say in terms of strategy, in terms of business, let's do an app. People can pay for that, like a Netflix of football where you just share your information. So leave that on social media and do that on a specific app. People can register, pay a small amount of money and get all your information. But I always say people will never, ever pay for my news. Never. My business model has always been I can work with sponsors, being part of my project, but people will never pay one single penny to be part of my network to get my information. You can open your phone, you can go on social media, you can find everything. Then you can be happy or unhappy, you can criticize or appreciate, but everything is for free. You can never say I paid and this was not working. With me, this will never happen.
Great. Now allow me to open the floor for 2 questions, please. First question.
Hello, my name is Mohammed Faruqi and I'm a student here at CUQ. My question is that what careers are there that exist in the business side of football?
Sorry, what players?
What careers are there that exist in the business side of football?
What careers are existing? Look, what do you want to know specifically? If you can be more clear, so I can because like this I can answer for 2 hours. So.
Mainly just for like students like me who love football and who are also trying to go into the business side. So
not only journalism, you mean?
Yeah.
Out of that.
Sorry?
Out of journalism, you mean?
Yeah,
right?
within the business side.
Yeah, in the business side, there could be many opportunities. Look, I think now, for example, apart from being obviously part of a club or maybe part of an agency as a football agent, a very important figure that maybe is underrated on international scale is also the intermediary. Some of the big deals made in football now, you will never see them. They are like ghosts into football, but people think that the transfer is done between two clubs and between the agents, but many times who is actually doing the transfer is an intermediary. So that's also an agent, always an agent, but having different kind of role. You are not taking care of the player, you are not taking care of anything. So the player is not calling you when he has a problem or when he wants to extend his contract or when he wants to move, but you are only working as an intermediary to close the deal and then you disappear. This kind of figure, in my opinion, can be really underrated nowadays, but it's really important. Some of the big intermediaries, people can't even find their pictures on Google now. You only think of the big agents when you think about football, but I think this kind of figure is going to be really important into the football business in the future. It means to study as an agent, but an agent is different. The agent is taking care of the player, the intermediary is taking care of the deal. So he's only working about the money, he's also about the connection, only basically about the connection and the networking. So I think that one can be something different compared to obviously work as an agent, work as a director of football, work into the scouting department. There are many ways to do that. But I think intermediary is what is going to be a big part of the football figures in the near future.
Second question, please.
Hi, my name is Abia Akhil and I'm a student here at City University, Qatar. And my question to you is, what is one skill that you would advise students like myself to master in order to succeed in the business football ecosystem? Thank you.
Thank you, first of all. Look, there are several skills, I think, nowadays. The most important one, but in this country you're already well evolved on that, is languages. I noticed that every time you are able to speak the same language as the person who is interacting with you, whether you are a journalist, people involved directly into the negotiation, into football industry, it doesn't matter. But if you are able to connect in the same language in the best way possible, this makes the difference, even if it's not perfect. For example, I was trying to learn some Portuguese, some Spanish when I was younger, and that really made a difference. I was noticing that when I was trying to connect with people into football with that kind of language, it really made a difference. They are way more open with you. So that's a really important skill. Try to learn as many languages as possible. Feel very sure when you are talking, because it's a really crucial basic skill, but really important. And then the knowledge. I can guarantee to you that in modern football, even people who are in the big roles in some big clubs, not all of them, but some of them don't know many players, don't know many people involved in the game. Maybe they know very well their own country, for sure, but maybe they don't know, maybe a director in Spain doesn't know who is the goalkeeper of a small club in England. That's really important. Study, the knowledge is really important. Who is making the difference now in the big roles is who knows everything. People now in football, sometimes they get to the point where they are maybe 20 or 25 or 30, they get their role and they relax. Never relax, always keep studying, always keep evolving, always keep following everything. It's so important. I know this can feel really basic, but it's absolutely, absolutely crucial. And then the final one I want to say, because it's my own experience, is the social media. Social media are really important. I know that sometimes can be difficult or seems like something toxic, because it's true that sometimes people are going over the medium scale with the social media. But my point of view is that social media, if you use it with your brain, if you understand that it can be really important to open connections, I always say, when I started my career as a journalist, if I wanted to get in touch with a player, it was impossible when I was 18. How could you do that? You have to go maybe outside of the stadium, pray that they can stop 2 seconds, speak 2 seconds, and bye. Now with social media, you have the opportunity to try send a message and someone can answer to you. You can open your network. And small people today are going to be big people tomorrow. That's my experience. When I started, I didn't know the big players, the big agents, the big directors. But I was just trying to text people who were maybe young, hungry, and maybe getting there one day. One of my contacts was a small director at Sampdoria, a very small club in Italy. Then he became director at Juventus. Then he became director at Tottenham Hotspur in Premier League. And so the reference is completely different. But you trusted that person and you open your network. So be very open, speak the languages, understand social media, feel the moment, and always be respectful, which is the most important thing in football world.
Thank you, Fabrizio, for your wonderful input.
Thank you.
Now, before we wrap up, some quick fire questions.
Yes.
You can only pick one answer.
Okay.
Fabrizio, what's more fun, being a football journalist or a football player?
A football player for sure, unfortunately.
Best team manager, Pep Guardiola or Carlo Ancelotti?
It's difficult, this one. I love Guardiola, but as an Italian, I say Ancelotti.
Best club manager, Laporta or Perez?
I think what Florentino Perez did these years is legendary, so Florentino Perez.
Better league, Saudi Pro League or MLS?
They are very different. Here I'm really 50-50 because I think it's two different concepts. It's difficult to compare. So it's completely, they have the salary cap in MLS, it's way different. So on this one I go 50-50. I use the jolly.
Fair enough. VAR, hate it or love it?
I love it, to be honest. Love is a big word, but I appreciate it. I think it's the future. You can't play football without VAR, in my opinion, now. They have to change some rules, but I am pro VAR.
Who's your favorite to win the next World Cup? Portugal, Spain, or Argentina?
Spain.
Who's the GOAT, Messi or Ronaldo?
Diego Armando Maradona.
Great answer.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fabrizio, for sharing your insights and experiences with us today. You've given us a fascinating look into the business side of the sport we all love. Before we close, we'd like to welcome onto the stage Mr. Nasser Naimi, Dr. Faris, and Omar Shakirajic to present Fabrizio a Here We Go shirt for the CUQ community.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shadin, for conducting such an amazing conversation with Fabrizio. I would, on behalf of City University Qatar and CUQ Talk, also like to express our warmest gratitude to our sponsors, whose support was indispensable in making tonight's event a success. Also, a special thanks to Omar Shagrijic. On behalf of City University Qatar and everyone here, we are honored to have had you with us for the very first live edition of CUQ Talks. And to all our guests, thank you for being part of this exciting inauguration. CUQ Talk is just getting started, and we look forward to welcoming you again for more inspiring conversations in the future. Thank you, and see you at the next CUQ Talks.